Welcome back to my channel. Here are fashion propaganda I will not be falling for in 2025. Coming in strong, people saying that they cannot find anything in thrift stores, and then trying to offset that blame to Depop sellers ruining thrift stores and why they cannot find those things in thrift stores. The reason why I'm saying that this is propaganda that I will not be falling for is because most of these people who I see complaining about this, that they're between the sizes 2 and 10, which means that they are relatively a smaller size. Fashion has done nothing but cater to smaller size people for the past 100 years, and you're gonna look me in my African American eyes and tell me that you can't find anything in a thrift store, you're lying. Somebody's lying. Depop sellers are not ruining your thrifting experience. What you do is you go into thrift stores, you go in there for 30 minutes, and then because you can't find some like really overly popular trendy item, you then say, oh, I can't find anything at a thrift store. Depop sellers ruin everything. It must be a Depop seller's fault. They're not taking some cute stuff from you. You can definitely find things in a thrift store. Coming at number 2 is individual fashion and style. I would say a lot of people on TikTok talk about how, like, oh, their individuality is dead. Every time they go outside, they see people wear the exact same thing and that no one wants to be unique anymore. And I'm just super confused because as someone who is actual millennial and I grew up in the early 2000s, I was made fun of a lot when I was younger, right? For dressing slightly different. Do you think that I was made fun of for dressing slightly different because people were bored? No, people were conforming. They wore the exact same thing that the next person wore. But I think the reason why people think that individuality is suddenly like is a new phenomenon and not something that's just like common. I think the reason why people think this is because a lot of the times we have a computer. Like we have literally a computer in our hands and we can literally look up anything we want and engage with that one thing. So I can look up goth fashion, I can look up punk fashion, I can look up Harajuku fashion, I could look up, what slingback heels look like, I can look up what a Lolita dress looks like, and I can have all these at my fingertips in an instant just by going on Google. And I think that because people have such an easier time observing certain communities and certain styles and certain aesthetics so easily that they kind of trick their brain into thinking that like, oh, everybody dresses like this and everyone's an individual, when realistically speaking, you're curating what you see. So when you go outside and you see someone wearing, or you see a group of people wearing similar items, it sends you into a culture shocker. Like most people either want to conform, and if they don't want to conform, they just don't care that much. Some people are employed. Some people have jobs and they have kids and they have this to do and they have that to do. And our whole country is going to shit, especially if you live in America. Do you think they wake up and you're like, damn, let me stunt in these hoes? They don't care. Most people don't care. So individuality is not dead per se. It's just that like this has been a thing for a long time, and you cannot convince me that individuality dying is some new phenomenon. Hello, 3 weeks later. So the final piece of propaganda I will not be falling for is actually something that might actually be actual propaganda. And this is the idea that any luxury good that is labored in China is not worth it once people realize it was labored or made or manufactured in China. And the reason why this is propaganda I will not be falling for, and also why it is actual propaganda, is there's this idea that anything that is made in China is bad. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that we should be aware of all ethical practices, but not just ethical practices that are happening in China. I think that we should be aware of all ethical practices that are happening all around the world. But especially if you live in America, Americans tend to think that anything that is made here is like top-notch quality, when that's not the truth. But anytime something is not ethical in China, we tend to fault the entire country. So when I hear people talk about how like, oh, they found out their favorite luxury brand was labored in China, or it was manufactured, or there's another word for it, there's like if it was like assembled in China, people tend to be wary about that, and they're like, oh my god, guys, this was made in China from a factory in China. But you need to realize that China is not just a huge country full of unethical manufacturing businesses. That is actually very racist, and that's actually, again, very much propaganda. There's people who go to school for fashion. There's people who work for companies that work for bigger brands and luxury brands and that are placated in China. Just because you find out or see that something is made in China does not mean it automatically means that it's cheap labor, that it's low labor, and that's not labor to be respected. These are real people who put their real labor and their real effort into something. So I'm gonna reiterate it. We should be aware of all ethical practices everywhere, not just in one country. If you are focusing on ethical practices or lack thereof in one particular country, you're probably just racist. Like, just because, like, and again, like I said before, yes, we should be aware of those things, but just because something's made or manufactured or assembled in China doesn't mean that it's now not worth the price that they're selling it for.